Hello everyone, welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where we have got some midweek action to preview for you. The first 2 days at York we're going to be doing first of all, so that is the Wednesday, Thursday, including Thursday's Dante is the Dante meeting, of course. Thursday is where Matchbook sponsor 2 races for you as well, and we've got a stellar team amassed to go through it all in the form of Micheál, Deasy, with Declan Rix and with Steve Jones. How are we, gentlemen? All well? What a
good, thank you.
Fine group of individuals assembled we've got. Right, we can blow a bit of smoke now towards ourselves because we had a really good week last week. Well, everyone, I think everyone put up a winner except for me. But we flew with these industry SP prices. It's easier for yourselves. But Grove Ferry won at 6.0. This was at last day at Chester and the weekend on Saturday, the ITV action. We actually all went for Elastra Norte. It was Adele's best bet, 2.87. He drifted as well. Then Sam Turner weighed in with Sherbet Lemon at 29.0 and with some terrible jokes about sweetness, etc. Alba Flora, that was Sam's as well, 5.0. Jonesy then stepped up to the party. Third Realm at 15.0 and River Nymph at 12.0. That was one for your value bet column as well. Well done, Jonesy. It's a good weekend. And
all went to plan apart from the way I muted myself.
Yeah.
Like I say, all went to plan at the weekend, and now it's not going, maybe not so sharp. But
should we stick to the tipping, I reckon?
Probably.
Let's stick to the tipping. But it was a great weekend, so well done, everyone. And hopefully more of the same for York this week. Right, the sign-up offer. Let's just give you that again. It is the ongoing Matchbook sign-up offer for new customers only at 0% commission on all sports for 30 days. From 30 days from when your account opens, you get 0% commission on all sports. You need to use the bonus code INSIGHTS for that 0% commission on all sports for 30 days. New customers only, be gamble aware, and that means you're guaranteed best odds as well. You're very likely to be anyway with the exchange, of course, but with that 0% commission, you're going to be getting best odds. Right, let's get stuck into the race previews. Here we go then. First of all, so the first race at York tomorrow, that is Wednesday. It is the 140. We start with an easy one. What are the prices, Dees?
So my Frankel is currently favoured at 6.2. Then you have Alarab is 6.6. Tron Hall is 8.6. Shandaz is 8.8. Sam Cook is 13.0. Rudibic Content is 13.5. Tacarera is 14.0. Mr. Carpenter 17.0. And Straits of Hormuz is 16.0. Win O'Clock is 18.0, and there's big price the rest of them then.
Always been run by some proper horses in the past. Rixie, haven't heard from you for too long, so go on, kick us off with this one.
Yeah, look, a competitive race to kick us off, 16 runners. I suppose just looking at the race from a tactical perspective, there doesn't look to be a lot of pace on here. So, I don't think if you look, you don't want to be backing horses who need a strong gallop or maybe have got bit of form over further here. So I'm looking for a horse that will probably race on the pace, and that's in good order at the moment. And for me, that's Throwing All of the Kevin Ryan yard, a well-bred son of Kingman. He's been in good form this year. Started his campaign very well at Doncaster over in inadequate 10 furlongs. And then he moved up to 12 furlongs at Thirst the last day, where I was a little bit worried about the ground getting a bit quick for him. He's not a bad mover, to be fair, but I just think probably genuine good ground is going to suit this lad very well. I think he is maybe a little bit vulnerable to something with a change of gear and a little bit of class, but I think he's fairly handicapped. He's going to, when plenty of horses have cried enough in that long York straight, he's going to stay galloping, and I thought he was the one for me at the prices. So yeah, it's going to be Throwing Hall to kick us off. But I just want to give Straits of Hormuz a good plug as well. I think he's the best handicapped horse in this race, but there's a couple of things. He's a hold-up horse and there's no pace on, and he's got that man Jamie Spencer on, who's probably going to sit last like he always does. So backing Spencer horses in that scenario are not good for my betting mental health. But if the rain stays away, I think he could go well if Spencer doesn't give him a mountain to climb. So yeah, I'd give those two a good plug, but it's a very, very competitive race.
And particularly the first horse you put up, Throne Hall, has got form with a bit of cut underfoot. Are you working off set going, Rixie, or are you just waiting to see what transpires overnight?
Yeah, look, it's a little bit hard because I've just got up the rain radar there now, and there's a good bit of rain in the area in around York, so we're going to have to see. One forecast I looked at said there could be 6 or 8 mils going to fall, but as ever with the weather, we haven't got a clue what way it's going to pan out. But I think whatever happens, the ground is going to be fine for Throne Hall. But for Straits of Hormuz, given he's going up in trip, and he's a small horse and he's a good mover, I do think the rain would want to stay away for him. But yeah, look, keep an eye on the rain, because potentially it could get quite wet over there over the next couple of hours.
I'm a huge fan of El Arab, who I can see going off favourite and could be pretty strong as well. I know, Steve, you're a relative fan of this horse as well. I think you were very sweet on him towards the back end of last year when we did a pod previewing this meeting. And he seems to want, he's got big feet apparently, he seems to want a bit of cut underfoot. And they swerved the November handicap with him. I think they felt it might be a bit too much of a test for a 3-year-old in that. But I think he could develop into a proper group horse. So I will be supporting him, and you will be too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like Rixie said, this is a very strong race. This is got horses in that will be group horses, no doubt about that. And I think Il Arab is one of them. And what he did last year was incredibly impressive. He won, after his debut, he won the next 5 races. And like you say, is the last of those was at York over 10 furlongs. And that's the exciting thing with Il Arab, is that he's been doing it over 10 furlongs when really he's going to get much better over 1.5 miles that he tackles today. He's a half-brother to Khan Wennon, who runs over real staying distances, 2 miles, for Charlie Fellows, and does very well. He likes soft ground, and he's a very progressive horse. And I thought when he won at York back in October over 10 furlongs, he did it against the pace bias. He was held up in the rear. And I think the reason why he was held up in the rear is because he genuinely wants to go up in distance, and he couldn't really go the early gallop. And then it's just his class that got him into it. And in the placed horses show you that. They were both just sat behind the pace for the race, and he came from miles off it. He's got William Haggis is in great form. He's, for my eyes, probably the best trainer in the country. I think he overachieves consistently, and Tom Marquand rides. So I just think this horse has got a lot going for him. My Frankel is another progressive horse, but his one disappointing run was on easy ground at Ascot last year. And although he had other excuses, he's still got to prove that he's as good on soft ground as he is on the all-weather and on fast ground.
So Il Arab for Steve. The other one I will be having a bit of money on win and place is Mr. Carpenter, by the way, before we come to DC, who I thought just shaped as though that run was probably needed last time. He's still likely enough race for this yard. He's done really well for the yard, and he definitely likes it here. Last 2 wins at the track he's produced a win. I think I'm not sure that York often gets the credit for being not necessarily a specialist track, but I do like horses with form at York. It can be a tricky track. A lot of horses really don't like it. So I like the fact that he's got form here, and certainly form with juice underfoot. And I think they'll go hard enough for him as well, because he'll probably just be out the back. He's guaranteed to stay. I thought he was a fair price. DC, your selection, sir.
Just for the first one, is it one of the bigger price ones? And going back to what you said about course form, I thought Rhythmic Intent was kind of interesting enough. His last win was in a 0-85 over course and distance last year. It was the second run of the season as well, and he was very good. He won off top weight. He won going away from him, and again he tried his hand at higher class races after that, and all his ran well. He's here now running off 96. Oisin Murphy's on board, and there's been a bit of money from him already, so I think that he could outrun his odds at a bigger price. And I do like my Frankel. I know I shouldn't really put up a favourite, but he won first time out when I think a few of the stout horses are taking the run this year. I thought he ran quite well and won quite well. And I think if he can build on that and bring a bit more race fitness to this, I think that he's worthy of his place up there. And I think he's going to go very close, even at the price he is of, what is he, about 6 points. 6.4. I'd be happy enough with that as a win bet on that, and probably a win in place on Rhythmic Intent.
On Stuart Williams' Rhythmic Intent. Right, plenty of selections going up in the opener, unsurprisingly. It doesn't get any easier with the second race either, which is a nice open handicap over the 6, but I love these straight course handicaps at York. Prices, Mr. Deasy, first of all.
So Bielsa is the favourite at 8.6. Then you have Gulliver is 9.4. Ralston Star is 10.5. Woven is 11.5. Abraham Goal is 11.5. Mr. Lupton is 13.5. Soldier's Minute is 14.5. Manigordo is 15.0. Then you have Magical Spirit 14.5. Saxon is 15.0, and everything else is just 20 or more.
There you go then. Where's your Manigordo? Just because I know you're going to start with that, and I know that Rixie wants to give that a mention as well. So, DC, you can kick us off with Manigordo. Yeah,
this is his third run for the stable. He switched there at the start of the season. He's and hit in his second run last time. He was very impressive. I thought it was up at Thirsk. Looked a completely different horse. Absolutely galloped away from him after being dropped back to 6 he ran over 7 on his stable debut. If you go back through the past winners of this race, I don't think there has been a winner for Newmarket in the last 10 years. It's all local trainers. Tim Easterby has a good few horses in here, but David Allen is after taking the ride of Manigordo, and I think that he could be, he's a nice price as well. He's 14.5. Again, that's a good winning place bet for me. I'd be quite happy with that. This is a very hard race to find a winner. Like Staxton is there at 15.0. The last in this race was 2 years ago, and he went off the favourite at 5.0. I think he's running off a lower mark here as well, so he could be interesting as well. But Manigordo will be the main one.
And he's drawn in the slightly higher numbers. It is interesting because sometimes at York you can get loads of pace on, and I think the winner's going to come from way off it, and they just don't come back to them. I'm still playing horses that are going to be held up here, or not exactly held up, but not on the speed, for all it is a speed track. But there is plenty of pace on. Rixie, you like Manigordo and one other?
Yeah, look, I with Manigordo, I would say I think he needs the rain to stay away, because that ground that he won on at Thirsk the last day was pretty rapid, and he looked good. DC covered him well there. He looks like a horse who's been transformed by the change of scenery and the drop to sprinting. So, he when in his early days for the Hannon team, he threatened to be a nice horse, but he just didn't go on. But I think he could go well. He made the run on the last day. There looks to be plenty of pace on here, pace right across the track. And look, I think with the racing on the straight track at York, so we just see how the early races go and where the pace is from, and where the better ground is, and where the jockeys think the better ground is. I looked at this race from a pace perspective and thought there was pace across the track, but maybe if you were drawn very low, it would be a negative. I thought being in the middle to high looked good. But yeah, look, Manigordo, if the rain stays away, he's interested. And the other one was actually Hey Jonesy. Obviously a winner at Royal Ascot last year. I liked his run, his comeback run this year in a good race at Thirsk behind a horse of Richard Fahey's Toro Strike. I just thought he shaped like he's done well for the break, and he's still enjoying his race. And he's a 6-year-old now. Ran to a good level. He didn't have the blinkers on. Looked a good race. The blinkers go back on now. On his second start last year at Royal Ascot, he won, and I just thought, he could go well here again. He's got form at York again. So, those were the two for me. I think Hey Jonesy, I don't think he'd too mind which way the ground went. I think maybe very soft ground or very quick ground would maybe be a little bit against him. But those were the two for me. But look, what's another big field, very competitive, tricky race.
But we'll nail the winner at a big price. So it's easy as that. We're all good.
And we just pick 6 or 7 of them and claim it after. It's just, that's the way it goes.
I find 2 each. That's 8 horses. And then, banging the winner at 5.0, and you're away. Talking of Hey Jonesy.
Hey Jonesy.
Who do you like? Oh, he's done it. I tell you.
He's done it again. He's having a nightmare today.
I'd say, imagine having a really good week,
professional,
and then this happens.
I was interested in Deasy's stats saying that the Newmarket trainers didn't do any good in this race, and it was always won by a local trainer, because my selection's trained by the guy who won this last time it was run 2 years ago, who's just up the road in Glasgow, 200 miles away. But and that's Keith Dalgleish. So with Aberama Gold. So I think this horse has got real credentials because he was a good 2-year-old. In fact, he won the listed race here in the back end in York's last meeting in October of 2019, the Rockingham on soft ground. And like many, I think sprinters sometimes can miss a year. And although he came back sort of in the autumn last year on the all-weather and he won at Doncaster on soft ground, and I think soft ground is quite important to him. And I thought that run at Doncaster last time when he was switching from the turf, from the all-weather to the turf, the ground was too quick for him. And I thought he showed good pace that day, even on ground that was too quick for him. And Keith Dalgleish is going very well. So in an open sort of race, and he's drawn in the middle, which I like, in an open race, I think Aberama Gold's got a lot going for him.
You deserted your mate Gulliver, who did you a touch at a massive price.
Yeah, he's interesting. I don't like the fact that he's drawn very high. I don't think, especially when it rains, you want to be towards the stand side too much. But again, like you said it's underplayed a little bit, the course importance. For me, it's always crucial to have course form at York because especially when it's on the softer side, some horses just do not like it. And to have form on soft ground at York when there is ease in the ground is a big thing. And that counts for Gulliver. The downside is he hasn't been running all that great recently. But that said, he's now well handicapped. He's £2 lower than when he won over course and distance last October, which isn't a long time ago. So you'd have to give him a chance. The one thing with him, I didn't think in this race there was a huge amount of pace. When he won, he came from a long way back. And
I'd say that. So I've gone for him.
Yeah,
I think he was. He's shortened up a bit now. There was some 13.0 around for him, but and he needs a bit shorter now. I think there's enough. He's well treated enough, and I'm just sure he's been out of form running on the all-weather. And it's obvious that the last couple of wins have come over this course, that they're just going to target this sort of race. So I wanted him on side, Steve. For all my enthusiasm is tempered. I would rather he was in the middle. I half like Mr. Lupton as well, but I've gone elsewhere because I think the main bet of the race for me is Ralston Scar, who is drawn 5, hyper focus and Staxton either side. There's a lot of pace on. He won't be too far away. I'm a huge fan of Mark Crahan. I think he's absolutely. I think he's a star. He's super talented, and Ralston Scott has to go fresh. Well, he's much better fresh. He won at Maidan fresh. He then had a lot of time off, 6 months off fresh in September. Ran an absolute stinker over this course and distance in the race won by Gulliver. But they had the tongue tie on before that, interestingly enough. But he has won at this track before, so it's not a track issue. Maybe the ground was a bit too easy for him that day, but he good to soft will be fine. And out of 5, I thought he'd have a really good chance. Ralston Scar, so he was my main player in the race. Anything else on this, chaps? Let's kick on to the 240. And DC can give us prices for this Duke of York Clipper Logistics Stakes.
So Art Power is the favourite at 4.4. Doing Oxtail is 8.7. Starman is 6.0. Malatham is 8.2. Nahar is 11.5. Final Song is 12.5. Summergand is 14.5. Brando is 16.0. The November Atiana, Ventura Rebel, about 29.0.
Very, very. I think this is tough. Okay, Rixie, can you kick us off? Because I nearly put up Starman and I'm tempted at that 6.0. I think he's really, really good, but I've just got a niggle about the ground and the fact that he's coming here having not had a run. What do you think about Starman?
Yeah, look, I like him. I think in just terms of raw ability, there's not a lot between those horses at the front of the market. Look, I think if Oxtail comes back to his July Cup win, I think he's going to win. But I, to be honest, I haven't liked what I've seen from him this season. He raced on Champions Day on very soft ground at the end of last season where he shaped very well. But then he didn't have that much of a break, I don't think, because the connections wanted to go to Saudi Arabia with him. to run him on dirt somehow, but they thought that was a good idea. Fair enough, they were chasing the Yankee Dollar, but I think chasing the Yankee Dollar has maybe left a little bit of a mark on this horse, because he was a long way below his best the last time out at Newmarket. And, you know, Ryan Moore's booked again, but I think I'm happy. He's one I'm happy to take on at the head of the market. Art Power is another. I think he's very solid, Art Power, but he's a bit like Arsenal under Wenger. He's like, you know, he's always very good and thereabouts, but he always runs on at the end of the season when the winners are away and gone, and he kind of runs on to be placed. I think he's gettable. So Starman is the potential new kid on the block here. He is an absolute giant of a horse. And, you know, as long as Ed Walker and his team can get him right, get him moving correctly, you know, I just can't believe that this horse won't be even better this season. He won over course and distance last year, beating Dakota Gold, where the pair of them came miles clear the rest, and he looked like a potential sprinting star. Walker was kicking himself then at the end of last season that he ran him on Champions Day on very soft ground. You can scrap that run, you can give him another go. So look, as long as they don't get too much rain, I'm interested in Starman. But I'd also, if it does rain and it becomes too much, I think Roger Varian dropping Malatham down in Trip is pretty interesting. He's a horse who's travelled very strongly in a couple of his 7 furlong races last year. Obviously won the Jersey Stake, and he did look like he was worth a go sprinting. So if they got plenty of rain there, I don't think it would bother him. And physically looking at him, he looks like if he's developed again over the sprinter, he could take to sprinting. So you've got the visual saying he will, and you've got the physical saying he's worth a go. So if they got plenty of rain there, which would detract from the chances of Starman, I would give Malatham a little squeak in this race. I'm interested to see how he gets on, because you know, the sprinting division in the UK, maybe take out Batash's side, who hasn't had a good prep this year. It looks very weak. So, you know, it's ripe for a horse to come through and be a star.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree on Starman being I think he could be a serious horse this year. I've just gone with Art Power as the most solid option. I thought you're being harsh on. I know the last 3 runs, maybe at the prices were a touch disappointing. They were in Group 1 company. Didn't run bad on Champions Day, but I thought with the ground likely to have ease in it, he was the most solid option personally. Jonesy, you can make...
You as a Spurs fan, I'm not surprised you're defending a horse who have compared to Arsenal. So, you know, just, you know,
when I didn't know what to say when you brought up Wenger and Arsenal. I was just going to come out with a whole tirade of abuse.
Give it to me, yeah.
But are you an Arsenal fan, Rixie?
No, I'm not. I used to be a massive, massive football fan, and I still love the sport, but I just hate football fans, and I hate VAR, and I hate all the money they earn. So, yeah, it's horse racing all the way for me now.
Fortunately, no football fans watch this, so there's no hatred for you guys. Welcome along to the broadcast.
Join Sully in the football podcast later in the day, please.
Exactly. Jonesy, in high
Helen's a big football fan, I'm sure. And my limited knowledge of football, I thought Arsenal did well under Arsenal. Didn't they win everything one season without being beaten? So Art Power's going to be similar this year, I think, because I think this horse will be a champion this year. I think he's very, very good. And I think he kicks off with his ideal conditions, an easy 6 furlongs on softish ground, at a track he's won at. I know he was taken off his feet in the Nunthorpe last year by Batash, but who isn't taken off their feet by Batash? And 6 furlongs is more his thing, certainly at a sharp track like York. And I just think he's very good. I mentioned before that sprinters can sort of struggle in their 3-year-old year for some reason and then come back as 4-year-olds. And it's hard to say he struggled because he won his first 3 starts last season, including a Group 3 in Ireland. As well, he came into last season as very inexperienced. He'd only had 2 runs, and the first of those was in September. So expect loads of improvement from this horse. He proved at Haydock in the Sprint Cup when he was 4th. He proved again at Ascot on Champions Day in the Champions Sprint when he was 4th, beaten just over a length by Glen Shield, that he is a Group 1 horse on soft ground, coupled with the fact that he likes the soft ground, he's got his ideal conditions, and Tim Easterby is in flying form. He's banging in the winners all over the place, and I think he's just very, very good horse. And I think this is full of Group 2 sprinters because it is a Group 2 race. Him in Oxted and perhaps Starman are the ones that got the potential to go and win something like the July Cup. I know Oxted already has won a July Cup, but Art Power is a top sprinter, and for that reason, I think he deserves to be favourite, and I think he'll win.
Love it. Sounds like it might be your best bet, sir. DC, you going for one at a bit of a price?
I'm going for two. I'm going to have small stakes winning place on Nahar and Final Song. I just think with Nahar is he progressed through the handicap route last year, and I think he's well worth a go at this trip. I thought he was at this level. Thought he was very good in the Airgall Cup. He absolutely cut through the field, and I thought he won with a bit in hand. He was out there recently behind Kazam. That'll just have blown the cobwebs off. Watch that back. I think he was getting an easy time once he was beaten, and he stayed on. That should put him spot on for this. And again, he's a double figure price, so I have a bet in him. And Final Song, I just thought wouldn't be as strong on Final Song as Nahar, but thought it's interesting now that she's learned how to be a sprinter out in Maidan in the winter. They were trying her last year over 1 mile, and it just wasn't suiting her. She finished fourth in the 1,000 guineas at a massive price, which was a great run, but that was about as good as it got. If she can, I've always kind of liked her. I thought, like, in her 2-year-old season, she won over 5 furlongs as well. I think sprinting might be her thing. Frankie is on her. Again, she's drawing a stall one, which isn't ideal, but again, she's a double figure price. I think that if she can take the sprinting, she has a bit of progression, or she could go very well in this. And again, she's 12.5, so it'd be even stakes winning place in both of them.
She's an unexposed sprinter, finishing second in the Group 1 at Maidan. And Chris Hodgson, welcome along, says, my favourite Summergander is a decent price, given he beat a below par Oxted recently. Hopefully he'll go well again. Well, if Sam Turner was here, surely Summergander would be going up. But he's not, so there you go. He'll be along with us in a couple of days' time, previewing Friday and Saturday.
I think he desert him the day that he won.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, we'll remind him of that on Thursday. Yeah, good point, Dees. Let's move on to the Musidora. I can't find a bet here. Too much of a head scratcher for me personally. DC.
Yeah, so Roger Varian's Tiona leads the market at 2.62. Noon Star is 2.92. Mystery Angel is 9.0. Snowfall is 16.5. Sunita is 18.5. Aria is 18.5. Then you have Glenartney is 42.0. And Quiet Assassin is 80.0.
And you like Tiona, Dees?
Yeah, like I couldn't really be tipping a horse that's her price, but I was just looking at I looked at this a good bit now, and she's obviously priced up completely based on reputation and whispers about her working the house down and all this kind of stuff. But the way she won her maiden was absolutely unbelievable, and she was beaten on debut by Sea Empress, but there was good word from before that as well. She just ran a bit green. If she can bring the form of her maiden win to this, she'd be very hard to beat. She's very high class, I'd say. The other one I was looking at was Mystery Angel, who beat Sea Carrots a few weeks ago. Like, we were all kind of sweet enough in Sea Carrots, but couldn't say that she was unlucky. Mystery Angel was very good from the front, won very well. And she's a kind of value price at 9.0. She should probably be short than that, but I'd say I'd have to go with Tiona. You'd have to believe the hype. There's so much money gone on her, and her price has contracted so much, even for the Oaks, before she's running this. And Roger Varian is going so well, so there's a lot of positives for her, I think.
And that means, Jonesy, that Noon Star may well not go off favourite here, but you like her.
Yeah, it's a price thing more than anything, to be honest. They're getting a bit closer together than they were, I think. Tiona, you're taking, like Dee says, you're taking the hype and you're taking it at 2.3 or 2.2 or something. For a horse that's never set foot on a race course on turf and looked very good when a wide margin winner at long odds on. I just think these horses, if in the long term, if you back this type of horse in this type of race, you will lose. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I thought Noon Star was really quite impressive at Wetherby. had the form from last season, won at Nottingham, a maiden fillies race on very soft ground. So it's got that. And then beat Loving Dream at Wetherby. Now, I know Loving Dream didn't exactly do much for the form at Lingfield, but finished probably further back in the Oaks trial than she deserved to be and been squeezed out. But Noonstar was well on top in that race in the closing stages, and there was a long way back to the third. And I just thought it was the performance of a classy filly. Now, if Tiona lives up to the hype, then she's going to have to take a big step forward again. But if she doesn't, she sets the standard. And I think she's a really nice horse. And Michael Stout's got his horses quite well forward. And Noonstar's also got a decent pedigree. So a lot in her favour. It's just whether Tiona is all that she's cracked up to be, but I'm willing to take the chance that she's not.
Rixie, you're going for a bit of a price.
Yeah, I'm going to steer away from the win market in this race. It's it looks a little bit tricky. All the chat about Tiona seems to be she's the best of the variant 3-year-old fillies. We did a stable tour with him at races.com, Roger Varian, a couple of weeks ago. And Tony Elves, who does the tour with it, mentioned that she's been the talk of Newmarket over the winter. So, and we shouldn't forget, she's by Sea the Stars out of Ambivalent, who was a Group 1 winner for Roger Varian and his team. She's got a proper Group 1 pedigree. I would just say with her, if they do get a lot of rain, I think it could be a negative against her. And the other thing was, there doesn't look to be a massive amount of pace on in the race. And she is one that can get a little bit lit up at the start of a race. And, you could just see first run of the season maybe being a bit fresh, maybe pulling her chance away, potentially. So I'm happy to avoid her at that price at the head of the market. Noon Stars by Galileo out of Midday, another top-class pedigree again. But I'm just not completely sold on her just yet, but look, with these fillies, they can come forward and go backwards very quickly. She might come forward again, and to be fair, her form has been franked. But look, in the place market, she's gonna need to improve to win, take a big step forward. But I could easily see her running into the places, and that's Andrew Balding's Aurea, who was second at Ascot the last day. I just thought she was a filly who looks to be crying out for a step up and trip. She's actually by Muharar, who, despite being an absolute speedball sprinter, seems to be getting progeny that stay much further than he was, than he competed on the track. And, on the distaff side of her pedigree, again, it's stamina. I just liked her run at Ascot. She looked green, and it was her strong run race early. She looked a bit green and a little bit outpaced, and she just looked like a filly. Some of these fillies, they can chuck in the towel when they don't like what's going on. Oisin Murphy at the Revs kept up with her very early in the race, but I just liked the way she galloped, and she was game. And look, she's nicely bred. She's a half sister to the Balding. Sadly now the ill-fated Beat the Bank, who was a bit of a stable star for the Baldings a few years ago. She hasn't got a bad pedigree herself, and I think the step up and trip could bring a big chunk of improvement with her. The Balding team remained in good nick, and with Oisin Murphy riding, she's not going to lack for anything in the saddle. So look, I thought I could easily see her with 8 runners in the race, easily running into a place. And if the market leaders do fluff their lines in any way, she's a good, honest galloping filly who could win the race. She need to take a step forward, and the market leaders to take a step back. But I don't think that's beyond the realms of possibility. So, but more in the place market for me here.
Mainly in the place market then. What for Aurea in the Musidora? What about best bets for Wednesday then? So could be the 4 races we've done or any others. I'll start off with you, Rixie. What's your best bet on Wednesday?
It's actually going to be Aurea. Hopefully the 8 runners stay in. I'll take her in the place market. I think she'll go well stepping up and trip.
Aurea in the place market. Best bet for Rixie in the Musidora. Jonesy, your best bet on Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Art Power. I like Hilla Rub in the first, but I think Art Power is going to be a champion this year. I think he's got everything you need to be a top sprinter. So starting off ideal conditions, I think he's certainly a very solid favourite.
Micheál, Deasy, your best bet on Wednesday?
I'm taking Jonesy on with Nahar. I winning place. I think just at the price he's a cracking winning place bet, and hopefully himself and Arpoir will fight out a battling finish.
Hopefully we'll get a dead heat. Nobody wants to see that. I'm going to go for I'm going to go for Ralston Scar in the sprints. Far side, pace either side, needs to go fresh. Bosch, win and place, Ralston Scar. Thursday, we move on to. Thursday, we kick off with the Matchbook Betting Exchange Handicap. Yes, the Matchbook Betting Exchange Handicap. 2 races that Matchbook sponsor here. That's Rixie. This is the Matchbook Betting Podcast. There you go. Got that, Rixie? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Stuff.
Great race. Great sponsor. Great company. Great people.
Let's have a look at the market. What we got, Dees?
So Copper Knight is the favourite at 6.2. Then you have Count D'Orsay 7.2. Autumn Flight is 8.2. Jawal is 9.2. Illusionist is 11.5. Music and Dave Dexter, same price, 11.5. Sunday Sovereign, Venturous, Rayong are 15.5, and your big prices than the rest.
Basically, it's a tough start.
It's
Jonesy, take it away. Take it away.
Well, in this race, there is a stack of pace. There's pace all over the place. I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem where you're drawn, but I just think that it's going to be very hard. Sometimes it's just a complete, because York's a very fast 5 furlongs and they sometimes don't come back. But I think they are going to go a proper gallop because they're drawn across the track. They will all go forward. And I think one of the horses that will like this is Illusionist. Now, he's a funny he's only 4, so he's not old, but he's a funny boy. And they do switch around the headgear a little bit with him, and he seems to respond to this. He ran very well when 3rd over this course and distance in October behind Musica, when he had cheap pieces on for the first time. He ran at Newmarket, which wouldn't be his track, and it certainly wouldn't have been his ground at the Craven meeting when that was his seasonal return. When he didn't wear any headgear. They've put blinkers back on now, and he's won. He won first time he wore blinkers. He won, so he responds to that little bit of playing around with the headgear. But I think he loves a fast pace, so he doesn't have time to think about things, and he'll just fall into it. And Grant Chua, who's his trainer, that might not be one of the most usual names when you're talking about the big flat meetings, is in very good form. He's got his team in really good form. I think Illusionist will have taken a big step forward for that Newmarket return. And although he doesn't win very often, he does seem to run his best races at York and certainly likes easy ground. He was touched off at the Ebor meeting in an apprentice race when he came from off the pace, when they went a solid gallop, but it was only 9-runner race. And he did very well that day, I think, to get so close. And I think he brings his best form to York on soft ground when they go very quick and the change in the headgear. So it just ticks every box for me. And I think he's a great bet.
The other 3 of us are going for Tim Easterby horses. Rixie, you take it away first.
Yes, I'm going to mention 2, but I probably think the main one is going to be Count D'Orsay. I just thought last time out at Chester, he just shaped like a sprinter who was really in form. He jumped well, into stride well, but on a turning track, there probably just wasn't enough pace in it for him, and he travelled very well. He probably travelled too powerfully, and he kind of got stuck on heels before the home turn. Took a little while to get balanced up, but then in the final furlong he flew home. Look, he's a hold-up horse, as Jonesy's already mentioned there's a lot of pace on in this race. I think any rain that comes will suit him. It won't be a negative anyway. And he's a hold-up horse with loads of pace. I was just kind of doing my own pace chart, and there was speed all across the track, but I just thought maybe being very, very low could potentially be a negative. Middle to high look good to my eye again. But again, this is going to be Thursday's card. So let's make sure you have a look at Wednesday's card and just see where they're racing and see how those races panned out. So yeah, Count Dorsey would be one. I'm actually going to give it's interesting in this race that you would think 4-year-olds coming up would have a decent record in the sprint like this, but 4-year-olds are 0 for 9 in terms of winning. And I know just looking at the winning aspect is a very crude way of doing it, but no 4-year-old has won this race in the last 9 runnings. So if you're looking for older sprinters, that's not going to be a bad idea. The other one I just would give a mention to is Midwinster, who I think, back at 5 furlongs, she's a mare with decent form recently. Coming back to 5, I think will suit her. She's down at the bottom of the race, the weights, and she's trained by Paul Midgley, who does very well with these kind of horses. So those were kind of the two that I would have against the field in this race.
Midwinster got caught by a very well treated course and distance winner at Musidora last time, much to my own personal cost. Deasy.
I thought Copper Knight was, even at his price now, he's a bit short when I picked him up first, but I thought he was a great bet in this. He won this race 2 years ago, the last time it was run off, let me see there now, he was off 100 on the back of Rona Chester. The exact same preparation this year. No, he is one of the market leaders, but very good around York. Race fit. He's down but a good bit in the weights now since that run as well. Like he's run off 85 now. So I think he's got a great chance, despite the fact being one of the market leaders. And one, I'm not going to put this up as a tip, but one to watch. I think the Sunday Sovereign. Paul Mulroney is on. I texted Del this morning to see if she had any info and whether this horse was going again or not, but she hasn't got back to me yet. But he was an unbelievable horse for Paddy Toomey before he was sold to England. I mean, he started favourite in Norfolk. Watched his race there. He beat Arizona again this morning. He destroyed him. Like he won going away. This is his second stable change since then. Now he's gone from Majavarian to Tim Easterby. But if Tim Easterby can get him going again, get him sprinting properly, he'd be a very good horse. But I'll be just watching him today. He's drawn way out wide in 17. So just want to see how he gets on. But he's an interesting horse, I think, for the year if Tim Easterby can get him going.
You just need to find out if Adela's spoken to Paul, because when she hasn't spoken to Paul, they win. That is the rule. Yeah. That's how it goes.
You just text Adele there and say, Adele, if you don't get back to me my X time, you mightn't appear on the podcast for a while. That'll probably hurry her up, I reckon. But well, you do it to me, so it works.
Yeah. You replying is your first mistake, Rixie. I'm going to go for. I'm going to agree with DC and think that Copper Knight off 85 doesn't have to be big, but win and place. I'm really surprised he's still that big. I think he'll shorten up a good bit. To be honest, I think he's well worth having on side.
Five places,
yeah.
Like you'll definitely get your money back if on the place bet, and happy days.
That's the way I'm seeing it. The other one's Glory Fighter, who's a big price, who seems to have learned how to break. Won at Musidora at the back end of last year. Look, this is a much better race, I know, but Connections have always maintained he's a pretty good horse since certainly he switched. He was with Charlie Hills. He's now with Ian Jardine. And then last time, 6 would have been a bit far on quick ground, but I thought he shaped well as if he needed the run, and he went forward and he broke well. So look, if he's learned how to break, I think he's a upwardly mobile horse off 84. The ground should be absolutely spot on. I think he's only run here once. I wouldn't worry about the course for him necessarily. And I thought he was a massive price, Glory Fighter, but he might break 6 lengths off him and then we'll know off 8. So there you go. Let's kick on to the next, which is the 210. And Dees, you can give us some prices for the Middleton.
Yeah, so Queen Power is the favourite at 2.88. Then you have Passion is 3.55. Silence Please is 4.6. Cabalet has 7.6. Chamade is 9.2. And Freja is 12.5.
I'm sitting this one out. Not really involved with this one. Jonesy, kick us off.
Well, I thought it was worth taking Queen Power on. I know that that was a decent return to action at Newmarket last time in that Dahlia Stakes at Group 2. But I thought on the easy ground, it's likely to be worth taking Queen Power on. And the one I liked was Chamade. And I think she might well get her own way in front. I think she'll just keep rolling. I mean, there's a chance that Freya might take her on and maybe Passion, but I doubt it. I think they'll just be happy for Chamade to make the running. And as we saw last season, Doncaster and before that, if she gets her own way in front, then she can just keep going. And I think that's what will happen. And I was surprised she was so big. What was she, sort of 11.0 or something?
9.2, but these are early markets.
9.2.
You might be able to get 11.0.
I thought she was certainly overpriced, and I think I'm pretty confident she'll get the race to run to suit, i.e. she won't have to try too hard to get to the lead, and then she'll be hard to pass. So yeah, I'm willing to take a bit of a chance with Shemaid.
I know that Deasy's also sitting this one out, and Rixie, your shout isn't too bold, but who do you like?
Yeah, look, it looks a tricky race. I'm going to give Jessica Harrington Silence, please, the nod here. I just look at her last year, and she just looked like a filly physically. She's quite leggy, maybe a little bit weak, that I think would probably be even better this year. I think the best of her form, she doesn't have that much to find with Queen Power. Queen Power is a likeable horse, but she's a 5-year-old now. She just doesn't looks like she hasn't improved at all in 2 seasons, and I'm not sure she will again. She's her own worst enemy, that she can be pretty keen, and this race potentially could get a little bit tactical, especially if Jonesy's pick Shemaid doesn't go on and make the running, and D'Souza. I can't. D'Souza is a very good jockey, former champion jockey, but on these keen going horses, I can't have him. I think he struggles to settle them. So I could see Queen Power coming there, travelling, having pulled, being a little bit keen and just getting outstayed late. And then the other market leader is Passion, who to me, unless she's strengthened up and got a whole lot quicker over the winter, I think she's very vulnerable on a flat track back over an extended 10 furlongs. To me, she looks like a filly who is an out-and-out stayer, an out-and-out galloper. So it's interesting. Jessica Harrington's willing to come here with Silence, please. So she's a daughter of Glen Eagles. Looks like she's going to be even better this year. I thought at the prices I'd give her a tentative nod. I would just say, though, I don't think she wants a mountain of rain. She's a good moving filly. But we'll see. And I've just had another look at the rain radar there now. It looks like it's absolutely pissing rain down at York at the moment. So who knows how much is gonna fall.
Yeah, in fact, your breaking news, you're right, Rixie, because it's just been reported by the track that the heavy rain is at York at the moment, and it's not due to pass through until early evening. So you're going to get a good couple of hours of it, and that could turn it into really. It doesn't take much to turn York soft, especially when you're starting off on the easy side. So I think if you're taking a chance with fast ground horses, I think you're taking a big chance.
We shouldn't forget, Jonesy, it's on the Naves Mire. Clues in the name, innit?
You know what Rixie says? Mind your bets, everyone.
Mind your bets.
Mind your bets, lads.
Look, at least if we don't back a winner, we've got an excuse now. While the rain came, happy days.
Let's move on to the 240. This is the Matchbook betting podcast, Hambleton Handicap. It was a great privilege presenting the award to Joe Fanning, the winning rider of this a couple of years ago. The market is as follows. Another tough little handicap. DC.
Yeah, Matthew Flinders and Artistic Rifles are top of the market at 6.2. Then you have Brunch at 7.6. King Ottakar is 8.4. Johan is 9.2. Shaleer is 11.5. What's the Story 12.5. Uzo 12.5. Mustawa is 13.5. Kinron is 13.5. Harpswood is 15.5, and it's big prices than the rest of them.
If nobody minds, I'll just launch in with Uzo, because I know that Jonesy also agrees here. But I put this horse up last time when he ran okay up towards the near side rail. I thought the race just developed a little bit away from him, and he wouldn't have won. I thought he may have finished a little bit closer with a clearer run, and had he made a move the other side. But I think he probably needed the run, to be honest. And I think he's back over a course and distance where he was last successful. And I definitely want to have Uzo on side. I still think potentially he's a very well-treated horse. The other one I'm going to back is Hartswood, who's a course and distance winner. And I think could just have this run to suit, to be honest. The win here then saw him follow up with a second to Brunch. Well, Brunch finished second to Hakiki in the Lincoln. I mean, that's really good form, and this horse is only £2 higher. Has had one start this season, may well have needed it. Maybe the ground was a little bit too quick that day as well. But and Doncaster, the 7 furlongs wouldn't have suited. I was really surprised at the prices floating around against Hartswood. So Hartswood and Ouzo for me. Steve Jones.
Yeah, the winning connections was sure to get a bottle of the stuff if Matchbook betting podcast Hambleton Handicap goes to Ouzo, because I think he's got a good chance. And like you said, I thought he ran well in the Lincoln, and obviously behind some a nice horse. Brunch was obviously second there, but I did think that Ouzo was going to take quite a sizable step forward, and I think he likes the softer ground. I think he handles it well at York, because he won over course and distance on easy ground in October, and he'd run well at the Ebor meeting as well. He was 5th to Montatham when he was probably a little bit they didn't go quite quick enough for him over this slightly shorter trip than a mile. So I think with that in his favour, he's overpriced, and I think he's the one for me, Ouzo.
Giles Dexter says, drawn 13, ? That must be about Ouzo. And when he won over the course and distance last year, he was drawn 13. So, yeah. But, yeah, I take the point. He's probably wider than I did. He got over that day. Wouldn't want too much pace on his inside. Not sure it's littered with pace, the race, though. So I'm okay with it. Yeah, maybe it's not ideal, but I'm okay with it. Jonesy?
Yeah, the stats say that it's not a massive disadvantage. And anyway, if he does get over slightly, they come down the middle. So sometimes being drawn very low is not a help, because you sort of get pushed towards the far side. So I'm not bothered about the draw whatsoever at York.
You wait. Now we've had rain. They're going to come stand side. That's it. Blow it all out the water.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Rixie,
mind your bets. Mind your bets.
Mind your bets, lads. Rixie, who do you like?
I like Brunch, not only as a meal of the day, but as a horse. I do like this horse. He's very, very likable. Just looking at the race from a tactical point of view, there's a couple of horses who like to go forward here, but they're not like tear away front runners. So I think this race could be a little bit tactical. I don't think you're going to want to be too far off the gallop. Brunch is a very straightforward horse, and as you guys kind of touched on there already, he ran an absolute screamer, I thought, in the Lincoln on his debut. Funnily enough, he was a pretty big drifter that day. He didn't seem to be fancied at all by the Dodds team. And I thought maybe Callum Rodriguez got there a little bit too early. I don't think he was expecting him to pick up as well as he did, and he picked up very quickly, got to the front 2 furlongs out, and Callum maybe had to just kind of put the brake pedal on again, and there was a headwind that day at York as well, so I think the longer you were covered up, the better. But he galloped on well, and the front three, kind of butchered the rest of the field. So he takes a step up in trip, Brunch, but on pedigree and on how he strides, I think it could potentially bring out a little bit of improvement. And it doesn't look like on how the pace is mapping that it's going to be an end-to-end gallop, so stamina might come into play. The only thing I'm a little bit negative on is I probably want the Dodds horse to be running a little bit better. They're not bad, but I don't think they're just quite thriving at the moment. But look, I think Brunch is a lovely horse, and I think he's going to run well here. He's a very likable horse, and he's actually very well bred. Hold on here, let me get this up here quickly. Again, that's the horse's pedigree. His dam is very well related. I think from the family, she is related to Astrophysical Jet. Astrophysical Jet, good horse, Fred McMahon, and also Johnny Emert is a good mare, Know-It-All by Lord Cronola. So, he's a well-bred horse on the dam side, this fella. So, yeah, get on. Happy days.
Brunch for Rixie. Micheál Deasy?
I'm taking a swipe at 2 bigger ones. Actually, on the line through Brunch, I think Brunch is a very good horse. I agree totally. And just while I was having a look at him, I came across Le Trinidad, who finished second to him twice at York last season at massive prices, over 7 furlongs in a mile. Now, the last time he finished he was a length behind Brunch to finish over a mile, and he was getting £7. He's getting I think he's getting 16 out today. He's way down the bottom there. Roger Fenn is training him. He will be coming from the back now. He'll be running late, but again, he's a nice big chunky price. He's going to be about 20.0. Has course form without winning. I think he's like with that. And the other one I thought worked a bit was Kinrun. I thought Kinrun went very well the last time at Chester from a bad draw. Like Kinrun is one of the most consistent horses or handicappers of the last few years. Like he probably had about 12 or 13 races there in a row where he ran to 100 or more. You know, he's down to 98 now, but he was staying on all day at Chester behind Grove Ferry. He has good course form as well. He's ran at York 4 times. He finished second twice and has a third. So I think again he's double figure price. He's up here again. He is 11.5 here. I'm happy enough for a winning place in that as well.
Couple of shouts at double figures for that one from most of us actually. Matchbook betting podcast Hambleton Handicap. The 310 is the feature. The highlight of the meeting, the Dante Stakes, and we've got High Definition engaged here, having missed Chester last week. What are the prices, Dees?
High Definition is 3.4. The new Gear Up is 5.6. Royal Champion is 5.8. Hurricane Lane is 6.6. Elencourt is 8.2. Uncle Bryn is 14.5. McDellin is 14.0. Flying Visit is 15.0. It's big prices at the tree.
None of us are with High Definition, so there you go. Maybe we all got it very wrong, but it'd be interesting to see how it goes here. DC, you like one of Bulger's or Bulger sauce?
Oh yeah, Jim Bulger, the man at the moment. Flying Visit is vastly overpriced for this. He just did he's only run a few times there now, but he's gotten within a length of High Definition and 2 lengths of Bolshoi Ballet in 2 of those runs. As you saw recently, Jim Bulger isn't sending him over for the look. Like he's going to be there to win, and he will run to his merits, and he's 14.0. It's a brilliant bet. I had this narrowed down to Flying Visit, Uncle Bryn, Gear Up, and High Definition, but I'm going to stick with Flying Visit because I just think he should come on for the step up and trip. Again, he's great back form. But if High Definition turns up and is fit and is on a good day, I'd say he'll be very, very hard to beat.
Yeah, my slight worry is that Aidan uses this as the one that needs the most time for, and he obviously needed the extra time for High Definition. I just wonder whether he'll be revved up for this. I had it down to Flying Visit and Uncle Bryn, and I've just gone with Uncle Bryn, who I thought hated it last time, didn't get the perfect trip through, and also he was walking around on 5 legs the paddock beforehand, and that never helps. So I think Uncle Bryn is worth another go. Personally, I think he's very good, and it's a price thing. I was surprised he was as big as he is. Rixie, you agree with these, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I just think there's a couple of horses here that are overpriced, and Flying Visit is definitely one there. I think I'm happy to take on High Definition. Just, he still looked like he was learning last year. Actually, before I go into this race, this is some trial, lads. This is an absolute belter of a race. And it doesn't look like it's going to be one of those trials where they crawl around and sprint. There's loads of pace on here. It's going to be a proper run race. The best horse are going to come to the fore, and I'm really looking forward to it. This is an absolute belter. But yeah, look, I think the most overpriced horse I think is definitely Flying Visit, especially with the form of the Ballysacks last time out, getting a boost with Bolshoi Ballet looking very good at the weekend. He was given Bolshoi Ballet £3 that day as well. And to be honest, I thought Flying Visit did very well to stick around because the first half a mile he was fresh, he was gassy. It took Kevin Manning a good half mile to relax him. And I thought, given how keen he was, he could have he would have been entitled to weaken out of contention, maybe finish 3rd or 4th. But it showed how it showed his ability and his toughness that he stayed going. So look, Flying Visit is one that I think is massively overpriced at 12s. The rain won't bother him at all. So. Yeah, look, this is a good race. Look, I'm a big fan of Hurricane Lane as well, the son of Frankel. I thought he was very good at Newbury the last day, form that's since been boosted by the stout horse. And again, I think another overpriced horse here is the Haggis horse, Alenquer. I thought the Godolphin horse maybe did let the form down in the Lingfield Derby trial, but he's a big, massive horse. I don't think Lingfield would have been his track. I thought Sandown is more his bag. So look, this is an absolute belter. If I had to nail down for one at the prices, it would be Flying Visit. But this is a cracker. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
I'm smiling because Jonesy described it as, what did you describe it as, Jonesy, this race?
I can't remember. What did I describe it as?
Well, it was quite negative, I remember. You didn't think it was a top-notch renewal, did you?
Yeah, but I never do. I never think any of the trials are any good. And then I get to Derby Day and I think, oh, what? Oh, well, I thought that was all right, actually.
I think one of the words was dog. Carry on.
Yeah, I found it hard to decipher because I thought high definition, even if you discount all these problems with with his blood being wrong and things like that, I thought last season he was getting away with it. He was coming from right off the pace and he was sort of getting away with it. That's not the kind of horse you need at York over 10 furlongs. I think he's obviously going to be better when he goes over 1.5 miles, like a lot of these Galileos and things like that are. So I think it'd be interesting where he goes. I think 2 years ago, I think Japan was in a similar situation. He'd had setbacks and he went to the Dante. He drifted right out in the betting. I mean, let's not forget, the high definition was this sort of price he is for the Dante, for the Derby not so long ago. So he's been drifting from the well-documented problems. But I can see him getting beat tomorrow, sort of being dismissed for the Derby, and then, like Japan, running a very good race in the Derby. But that's no good for the Dante form guide. And I just think Hurricane Lane, I know it's a little bit obvious. He's had 2 wins out of 2. He's got the form on soft ground, having won on his debut at Newmarket on heavy, albeit in a small field race. I like the way he did it last time, and I know they'll go a pace in this because I'm sure that Roman Empire Aiden's got that in to make the pace, and there's a few others that certainly are candidates to make the pace with Uncle Bryn and various others. But I just thought Hurricane Lane might sit behind it and just get the job done. I think there's a few horses, like the top horse, Alan Queer of William Haggis's. Yeah, he caused a bit of a shock. Yeah, it's Sandown. Yeah, the softer grounded suit. But is the form really that good for a Dante? I'm not so sure it is. I thought Royal Champion was maybe one of the other more interesting ones, but it was a difficult race for me, and I sort of came down on Hurricane Lane, but I wouldn't be strong.
Lovely stuff. I sort of wish we finished with Rixie there because I'm feeling really up for this race. Then a dose of reality from Jonesy. But I like that as well. We've got to be measured. Best
balance is important in this game.
It is. And you and Jonesy give us that in spades. Best bets for Thursday. Steve Jones, your best bet.
Illusionist in the first, the sprint handicap. Very strong on this.
Illusionist for Jonesy. Rixie, your best bet for Thursday?
This is tough. I think the best value bet is definitely Flying Visit in the Dante. He's, with the form working out, he's a big price, but Jim Bulger's one of those trainers like John Joe O'Neill for me. When I back his horse, they never win. So I like Brunch as well. Bloody hell, this is tough, lads. What a game we're in. I'm just absolutely buzzing. Flying Visit. Go on, best bet.
Seen on all of them. Flying Visit for Rixie's best bet. Dees, your best bet.
I go for Flying Visit as well.
Double penalty.
Look at that.
Just back the Irish horses, lads. Just back the Irish horses.
The best race. I'm going to go for place in the Matchbook Betting Podcast Hambleton Handicap. Thank you very much, everyone. Great stuff. Rixie, always a pleasure. Jonesy, thank you very much. Hopefully that good form from last week continues. DC, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for watching at home. Don't forget, we'll be back Thursday to preview Friday as well.
Thank you very much.
This is awkward. See you later.